Have you ever looked at someone else's life and wondered, why can't mine be like that? That quiet ache, the feeling of not being enough, is something many hearts know too. Well, in a peaceful village surrounded by golden fields and whispering trees lived a boy named Arlen. He was known for his kindness and willingness to help others, yet inside, he carried a sadness that few could see. Every time he looked around, he compared himself with others, and every time, he felt smaller. When he saw his friend Callan win every school competition, he sighed, "I wish I were that smart." When his neighbor Duran bought a new cart and fancy clothes, Arlen whispered, "I wish I were that rich." And even when children ran faster in the fields, he thought, "Why can't I be like them?" Day by day, these thoughts grew heavier. His laughter faded, and his eyes lost their sparkle. He began to believe that no matter how hard he tried, he'd never be enough. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in orange and gold, an old traveler entered the village, a gentle soul everyone called Elder Rowan. People said he carried wisdom deeper than the forest itself. When Arlen saw him, he gathered his courage and said, "Elder, I work hard every day, but I still feel small when I see others doing better. Why does it hurt so much to see them shine?" Elder Rowan smiled kindly and replied, "Come to the great oak by the river at sunrise tomorrow. The answer you're looking for is waiting there." Arlen didn't understand, but something about the old man's voice gave him hope. The next morning, the air was cool and soft, carrying the scent of wet grass. Mist drifted over the fields as Arlen walked toward the old oak by the river, his heart filled with quiet curiosity. Elder Rowan was already there, leaning gently against the tree's trunk, his wooden staff resting by his side. "You came," he said with a warm smile. "Now look around you, my boy. What do you see?" Arlen turned slowly, his eyes scanning the peaceful forest. "I see trees, tall ones, short ones, some full of fruit and others bare." The elder nodded. "Good. Now, tell me if the apple tree compared itself to the coconut tree, wishing it were taller, or the coconut tree envied the apple's sweet fruit. What would that look like?" Arlen couldn't help but laugh softly. "That would be silly. They're both different, but both beautiful in their own way." Elder Rowan smiled, his eyes glimmering with kindness. "Exactly. Every tree in this forest has its own gift. Some give shade, others fruit, and some simply stand strong against the wind. Yet none of them spend a moment wishing to be something else." A gentle breeze rustled through the leaves as Rowan spoke again. "People are just like these trees. Each one grows differently. Some bloom early, some later, but each has a purpose written just for them." Arlen listened silently. The forest around him seemed to breathe with life. Birds sang softly, sunlight filtered through the branches, and for the first time, his heart felt light, as if the trees themselves were whispering. "You are enough," Elder Rowan then said. "The trouble, Arlen, isn't that you lack anything. It's that you keep looking at others instead of seeing the beauty growing inside you." For the first time, Arlen felt those words settle deep within, calm, quiet, and true. After a few moments of quiet, Elder Rowan motioned for Arlen to follow. They walked along the forest path, the soft crunch of leaves beneath their feet, until they reached a shimmering river. Morning sunlight danced across the water's surface, and the sound of flowing waves filled the air with peace. "Now, watch closely," said Elder Rowan, pointing to the river. "What do you see?" Arlen leaned forward. "Fish, so many of them, swimming gracefully. And look, there's a bird soaring just above the water." Rowan smiled. "Yes, now imagine this. What if the fish wished it could fly like the bird, and the bird wished it could swim like the fish?" Arlen laughed again, shaking his head. "That would make no sense. Fish belong in the water, birds belong in the sky. Each has its own place." Elder Rowan nodded. "Exactly, my boy. Yet that's what many people do. They look at someone else's life, someone else's gifts, and forget the beauty of their own. The fish doesn't try to fly, yet it owns the entire river. The bird doesn't try to swim, yet it commands the sky. Both live fully because they accept who they are." Arlen felt something shift inside him, as if the river itself had spoken a truth he had long forgotten. Rowan placed a hand on his shoulder. You two have gifts waiting to be seen, but they won't bloom while you're busy wishing to be someone else. Stop measuring your worth with another story. Your journey is your own. Arlen stood there, silent, watching the fish glide through the water and the bird vanish into the morning clouds. For the first time, he didn't want to be anyone else. He just wanted to be Arlen, and that felt peaceful. Days turned into weeks, and Arlen carried Elder Rowan's words deep in his heart. He stopped looking at what others had and began noticing what he could do. He spent time helping villagers fix fences, teaching children to read, and planting new saplings near the riverbank. Every evening, he would sit by the great oak and remind himself, I don't have to be anyone else. I just have to grow where I'm planted. Slowly, his life began to change. The sadness that once followed him faded like mist under the morning sun. His confidence returned, gentle but strong. His small efforts began to bloom into something greater. Years passed. The same boy who once doubted himself now ran a thriving workshop in the village. He trained young workers, gave jobs to those in need, and shared stories of hope with anyone who felt lost. People admired his calm spirit and kind heart. When they asked Arlen, "How did you become so successful?" he always smiled and said softly, "Never compare your journey with anyone else's. If a fish tries to fly, it will only feel weak. But when it swims, it rules the ocean." Looking at the horizon, he would add, "The sun and moon don't shine together, yet both light the world in their own time." And as the evening breeze moved through the fields, Arlen felt peace, not the kind that comes from winning, but from finally accepting who he was meant to be. Some lessons aren't found in books. They're hidden in moments, just like this one. Carry this thought with you, and if you felt something in this story, don't forget to like and subscribe.